Today we're taking a look at these NBA matches, which are happening on Sunday, November 6, 2022, and giving you match breakdowns, betting tips and predictions in general on these games. Welcome back to High Stakes, let's get straight into it. Also, don't forget to subscribe and push that notification bell to get notified as soon as we release these sport prediction videos. And if you would like more betting tips and predictions, then check out our Patreon in the link down below. Our new Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money. Multiple plans are available for each and every one of you. By becoming a member of the High Stakes Patreon, you will have access to our best team picks, total picks, parlay picks and much more. Stop wasting hours of your time searching for bad betting predictions that ends up costing you a lot of time and money. Join the High Stakes Patreon now and get the best betting picks. Los Angeles Lakers vs Cleveland Cavaliers. Los Angeles had won 2 straight games, but they were handled relatively easily by a Utah team that is exceeding expectations in the first 3 weeks of the season. The Lakers have talent, but their rotation is still thin beyond their trio of James, Davis and Westbrook. Cleveland has been rolling with 7 straight wins, and they've prevailed even with Garland missing 6 games and Mitchell being out Friday night. The Cavaliers have a deep, talented rotation to work with, which is what makes them dangerous. Cleveland hopes to have Mitchell back in the mix for this game, and they play solid team basketball. The Cavaliers' depth and their talent on both ends carry them to a victory in this contest to make it 8 straight wins. Tail the Cleveland Cavaliers to cover. Cleveland has been one of the better defensive units in the Eastern Conference to open the year. They are allowing less than 106 points per game, good for second in the NBA. We spoke about how excellent Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley are together, and their chemistry has allowed them the 8th best rebounding percentage. The Lakers are awful from the perimeter, and they lack the shooting to compete in high-scoring games. Although they lead the NBA in pace, they will try and slow it down against a more talented Cavaliers team. Further, the number is set at an inflated total. Considering how poorly the Lakers have shot the ball this year, this looks like an automatic under. Take the under with confidence. Memphis Grizzlies vs Washington Wizards. Washington comes into this game reeling, losers of 4 of their last 5 games. They are a poor team defending the 3PT shot and now face the team that is 3rd in the NBA in 3PT shooting. This could be a huge game for Bane and Brooks as the Wizards try to contain Morant, who should be able to find his shooters on the perimeter. The Wizards are also a below-average rebounding team and will match up with the 3rd best rebounding team on Sunday. Adams won't have much resistance in the paint and should approach the 19 rebounds he posted against the Hornets on Friday. The Grizzlies put up big numbers, and the Wizards are a below-average scoring team. Hard to bet against the Grizzlies, and I won't in this spot. Lay the points, -10, and take the Grizzlies. The Washington Wizards come into this matchup at 4-5 on the season and reeling after losing 4 out of their last 5 games. On Friday night, against a Nets team playing without suspended Kyrie Irving and injured Ben Simmons, Washington fell completely flat in a 128-86 loss. The Wizards completely fell apart in the second half, scoring just 29 points in total. Washington shot an abysmal 11 of 41 in the second half. Bradley Beal led the Wizards with 20 points, Kyle Kuzma had 19, and Kristaps Porzingis chipped in with a double-double, 14 points and 10 rebounds. Once again, the Memphis Grizzlies find themselves atop the Southwest Division with a 6-3 record. The position is one the team held for much of the 2021-22 season, their way to the 2nd-best record in the Western Conference. On Friday night, the Grizzlies blasted the Hornets 130-99 in Memphis. The Grizzlies jumped out early, scoring 41 points in the first quarter on their way to 71 points by halftime and a 24-point lead at intermission. Dillon Brooks tied his career high with 6 3-pointers on his way to 23 points, one of 8 Grizzlies players to score in double figures. Center Steven Adams had a double-double with 13 points and 19 rebounds in the runaway win. Both Memphis and Washington play fast, and Washington's defense has been very bad over the last week. The Wizards gave up 112 points or more in 3 straight games earlier in the week. This team is struggling significantly to defend against even mediocre and bad teams. Memphis's speed on the perimeter should be an issue for a bad Washington defense, and the Grizzlies should be able to get the wide-open fast-paced game they prefer against a Wizards team that has also been pushing the pace. Porzingis and Beal are playing well. Washington still has a solid offense, even though their defense has struggled so far this year. Take the over, 225.5 points. Toronto Raptors vs Chicago Bulls. Toronto is coming off a tough loss against Dallas, but the Raptors have been one of the most impressive teams in the NBA this week. They combined for nearly 300 points in their wins against Atlanta and San Antonio, and they have now covered the spread in 6 of their last 7 games. Toronto has also been excellent at home dating back to last season, going 11-4 in its last 15 games. Chicago has one of the top scorers in the NBA in DeRozan, but he does not have enough quality pieces around him right now, which is why the Bulls rank in the bottom third of the league in scoring. Take the Toronto Blue Jays to cover. Chicago has struggled with consistency so far this season, going 5-5 through its first 10 games. The Bulls have alternated between 2-game winning streaks and 2-game losing streaks over the past 2 weeks, so they will be trying to avoid that trend continuing with a loss on Sunday night. They picked up a pair of wins against Brooklyn and Charlotte earlier this week before coming up short against Boston on Friday. The Celtics took a 93-87 lead into the fourth quarter and increased it to 105-91 with just over 7 minutes to play. Chicago went on several scoring bursts late in the game, pulling with 2 points with 1 minute remaining, but it could never get any closer. Toronto has relied heavily on its defense so far this season, but its offense has put together several outstanding outings this week as well. The Raptors poured in 139 points in a 30-point win against Atlanta on Monday, before somehow topping that performance with 143 points at San Antonio on Wednesday. They had won 4 games in a 5-game stretch at that point before losing at Dallas by 1 point on Friday. Luka Doncic scored 30-plus points for the 8th straight game to open the season for the Mavericks, tying Wilt Chamberlain for the NBA record. Toronto gave up a 16-2 run to open the second half, eventually falling behind by 19 points in the third quarter. DeRozan put together his best performance of the season, connecting on 13 of 23 shots for 46 points. He went to the charity stripe 22 times, knocking down 20 of those attempts. Center Nikola Vucevic added a double-double with 24 points and 12 rebounds, while shooting guard Zach Lavin had 16 points and 7 boards. DeRozan leads Chicago with 25.6 points per game, and Lavin is adding 20.7 points. The Bulls have not been a great offensive team overall though, ranked number 21 in points per game, 112.2. They are facing a Toronto defense that is number 4, allowing just 106.3 points. The Bulls are struggling on defense right now, and Toronto is in good form offensively. The Raptors put up 139 points on Atlanta earlier in the week. This team is playing very well in Nurse's system. The Raptors share the ball well, and Siakam is having a career season so far. Toronto should have no problem scoring against a weak Bulls defense. Toronto is in very good form right now. The Bulls are struggling on defense, but Chicago is still a solid offensive team with Vucevic, DeRozan, and Lavin. Lavin is back now after being held out of the first game of the season, and DeRozan is also playing well. Vucevic hasn't been consistent defensively, but he's still scoring for the Bulls. Both teams like to play fast, and the Bulls are struggling defensively. This should be a higher scoring game. Take the over, 220.5 points.